Immorality, anti-Semitism, and replacement theology are eroding the foundations of biblical Christianity. Yonadav presents the Heartland Connection, where Christians are equipped to walk out the truth in God's Word and to support the land and people of Israel.
Shalom and welcome to the Heartland Connection and Chag Sameach. It is Passover time here in the land of Israel here coming up this weekend. We're going to be celebrating the festival of Passover, and I'm very excited. Rabbi Yonadav is here with us today to explain a little bit about how Passover works here in the land of Israel and what the Jewish people and their customs are. And so I'm really excited about learning from Rabbi Yonadav. Welcome, Rabbi Yonadav.
Good to have you, Zach.
So the Passover, it's talking about from the book of Exodus. We see this amazing, incredible, one of the most amazing stories in all of the Bible about the children of Israel exiting out of Egypt and heading for Mount Sinai and the Promised Land. And so there's this biblical festival that we find here in the scriptures that where God commands the people of Israel to celebrate this freedom that the people of Israel gain from the Egyptians, from Egypt. And so, Rabbi Yonadav, I would like to ask you, what are the customs that you guys, how do you guys celebrate the Passover? What are the customs that the Jewish people and you guys do today?
Okay. First of all, this Passover festival, Pesach, we celebrate it 7 days. Mm-hmm. The first day and the seventh day is holidays, like almost like Shabbat. We should not work, but we can make food.
Mm-hmm. So it's more of a party because you can make food.
Yes,
and celebration. Yes,
and the rest of the week, from the second day to the sixth day, it's more like the weekdays.
Okay.
But also we should not work our job.
Okay.
Because we have to use the time for learning Torah. Mm-hmm. We can't just keep working all the year and try to stay in our high spiritual level. We have to take a break for learning Torah. So we have every week 1 day, the Shabbat. And also we have 3 times a year festival. 2 of them it's a week, Pesach and Sukkot. And one is 1 day, Shavuot. So this is the first principle. We have to learn Torah. Of course, every festival has its unique customs. So in Passover, we should not have even chametz. And of course, we should not eat chametz. And we have to eat for bread just the leavened bread, matzah.
Or unleavened bread.
Unleavened
is
bread.
matzah, yeah.
Okay, unleavened bread. So this is a matzah. If we want to eat bread, we can eat just unleavened bread. And also in the first day, we have to eat the Pesach sacrifice. We have to make him in the former day, in the 14th of the first month. And we have to eat the meat of this sacrifice with the unleavened bread and the maror.
The bitter herbs.
Yes, the bitter herbs. In the night of the 15th of the first month. This is the beginning of the first day of Chag HaMatzot, the festival of the unleavened breads. So we have the sacrifice of Pesach, and we have the 7 days of the unleavened bread and the forbidden of chametz. and we have to learn Torah. And this is a week like vacation. We should not work. We should not go to our job. And we just have to stay at home. We can also take a trip, but the important part of this week is to stay at home and learn Torah. Of course, when the temple is built, we have to go to Jerusalem, to the temple, and festival there, festive there. And there we will make the sacrifice. And there we will eat. And also we will bring our sacrifices that we have to bring because any reason from all the last months. And also the fruits that we have to eat in Jerusalem, the second tenth,
The tithe.
tithe. The second tithe we have to eat ourselves. We can of course give another people to eat, but we don't must to give to the priests or the Levites. We can eat ourselves, but in Jerusalem. So we have like spiritual vacation in Jerusalem with all the food and wine and meat and fruits and meet the priests there and Levites and learn Torah and even the high court will sit in the temple. So also we will meet there the great rabbis and we can hear their lessons.
Wow, that's really, really amazing celebration picture. I can just imagine, thousands of people coming up to Jerusalem to celebrate.
Not thousands, it's millions.
Millions, and maybe even more. Like when more of the nations decide to come and
That's
be a part
right.
of it too. So yes, really amazing picture. Which that's one of the questions I was going to ask too. You said that basically you take the whole week of unleavened bread. Is that across the board in Israel? Like everybody's off during the week of unleavened bread and gets off of their jobs, or is it just within the more religious observant communities that they try to take more time? Nobody works during that week, or what does it look like in the nation of Israel?
Okay, in the state of Israel, it's like a half vacation day.
Okay.
So the religious don't work, and secular sometimes work, but there are, I don't know exactly, but there are a lot of jobs, many jobs that we allow to do, even if it's our regular job, like restaurants.
People have to eat.
Yes, and allowed to eat.
Right.
It's okay. Of course, they have to clean their kitchens for Passover.
Right.
But there are restaurants, and of course the supermarket that sell food. We should not even go to shopping for clothes or furnitures. Not in this week. Just if someone has know what to wear on Passover, for Passover, he can buy even in this week, but the owner of the store has to open it half. So everyone understands that he opened it just for the needs of the festival.
And that way he can take off to go and be part of the celebrations.
That's right.
Wow, such an amazing picture. Like the whole nation celebrating together. It's a beautiful thing. One other question too on that. So when all of Israel come up to Jerusalem, do they all come up for the whole week, or are they just supposed to come just to go up to the Temple Mount and do the sacrifice and then come down and then they can go home? Or Or how does that work?
No, it's for the whole week.
The whole week. Okay.
They can stay at home sometimes. Anyone who's sick or can't go for any reason, but the most of them go for the whole week. And God promised us that the nations will not try to take our land when we are in Jerusalem.
Right, because normally that would be a pretty big security risk if everybody comes up to Jerusalem
That's
for a
right.
whole week. But yes, that's amazing. God promises that the nations won't touch.
ולא יחמוד איש את ארצך בעלותיך. No one will want to take your land when you are going to Jerusalem.
Wow, it's a very supernatural protection. Wow. Okay, so you used a word, Hebrew word chametz.
That's right.
Okay, and in English here, I think it just says don't have any leaven. So for an English speaker, leaven, I just think of leavening agents like yeast or baking soda or things that make things rise within cooking. But from what I understand, that's not actually the definition of chametz.
That's right.
So can you help us understand what exactly is it saying that you're supposed to get rid of and not have any of this chametz? It sounds like it's a little bit different than just a leavening agent.
Okay, there are 5 species that can become chametz. The wheat. Wheat. I don't know the names in English. Chita, seora.
So let's see. So it's wheat, barley,
Yes.
rye, spelt, and oats.
Okay, yes.
Is the 5.
חיטה, שעורה, שיבולת שועל, קוסמת ושיפון. This is the 5. These 5 can become chametz. When? Especially when they become flour.
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 When they're ground.
Yes. And touch water. Then they can become chametz. Even sometimes if they are dry, the species without become flour and touch water can become chametz, but the strong process of chametz is when it's flour and become with water and lalush to
knead. I think.
To knead.
Knead the dough.
Yes.
When you mix it.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. And then if you put it without touching for after it is
After it rises.
no,
No.
the rises.
While it's rising.
The rises, this is the becoming chametz.
Okay.
The rises.
Okay.
Exactly.
When it's rising, it becomes chametz.
Exactly.
Okay, so just to make sure I understand and make sure everybody is listening understands. So flour of those 5 species, if it comes in contact with water, then even though you didn't put yeast, right? You didn't put it in, it can attract natural yeast from the air, and that's what makes it chametz. So
That's right.
Even if it doesn't have, because now we have the yeast, instant yeast
That's
that we
right.
put in.
That's right.
Even if it doesn't have yeast in it, just because it sits there for long enough, it could grow yeast inside, and that is, so chametz is a mixture of the flour and the moisture that grew the yeast inside.
Moisture, yes,
and
yes.
that
that's
is chametz.
right. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Now, if we want to hurry this process, we add yeast.
Right.
Today, yeast made of plenty ingredients. Sometimes it's mushrooms, kind of mushrooms, or that. This is not leaven.
Okay. So the yeast
Only-
by itself
Yes.
is not.
Yes. Right.
Okay.
Only a yeast made of leaven bread
Okay.
eats chametz too.
Okay.
Sometimes we take this leaven, this raised up
Dough.
and let him become very even
Like soured.
sour, right?
Uh-huh.
Very sour, and then we can use it to put in another dough
Right.
and hurry the process of the rising.
Yeah, my wife actually has a sourdough starter, so she takes it out and she puts it in
That's right.
pancakes or bread or whatever.
Okay.
So
That's right.
Yeah.
So the chametz that we forbid in Passover, it's the rise, the dough that rised and become bread or cake or everything,
Okay.
and also the yeast that made of leaven.
Okay. So if the
Leavened
yeast is
bread.
taken from the flour and so like the sourdough starter or
That's right.
Something
Even
like
you
that.
can't eat it. It's very sour, right? But this is also chametz. You should not even hold in your home.
Okay. So it's interesting. When I first came here to Israel, and we would always get rid of our baking soda. We would throw it away, get rid of it. And then when I came here, I heard that some of the Jewish families didn't do that. And I was like, well, that's really strange. How come they're having leaven in their house? And then when I heard the explanation that just that thing by itself is actually not chametz, it's after it's mixed together with one of the 5 grains and it becomes chametz. So I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense. Again, we miss so much from not knowing the Hebrew and the definitions that happen. So I'm really glad you're able to bring clarity to that and help us understand what's actually forbidden in this chapter. It's very, very, very interesting to study that out and to understand it better. So I think one other important point is as soon as you mix that flour and water together, how long do you have before it starts to rise and it becomes chametz? Because if you're going to make homemade matzah, what's the time limit you have where it's still matzah and not chametz?
Okay. The rule is that it should not rise up.
Okay. If it rises, it's chametz.
Even if it's 1 minute.
Okay.
If it rises, it's chametz. But the details are that if you will not leave it for 18 minutes without touching, it will not become chametz.
Okay, so you have 18 minutes.
Yes.
That you didn't knead it. You didn't mess with it. So for matzah, you mix it up together fast, you roll it out flat, and then you, as quick as you can, get it into the oven, and it has to be fully cooked before 18 minutes.
That's right. But but if you mix it with hot water, it will become chametz faster. So you have to use cold water.
Okay.
And if you use juice and not water,
Okay.
maybe also it will become chametz faster.
Because of the sugars or something.
Yes. So we use just water and just cold water without spices.
Without any spices or flavorings or something.
Nothing. And we make it very thin, so it will be cooked fast. And even we used to make holes on the matzah before the cooking, so it will cook very well in the inside of the
So there's no chance that it will.
That's right.
That it's risen at all. Well, that's really good. And it's kind of interesting in this this command to eat the matzah, because it seems like it doesn't. If you correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it doesn't just say get rid of the leaven. It says eat matzah
right.
is actually commanded. You have to eat it. It's not
That's
just
right.
about getting to the leaven. It's actually about eating. So what is the significance of why is that command to eat the matzah during Passover?
Okay. First of all, we have the command to eat just in the first evening.
Okay.
When there is temple with the Pesach sacrifice and the maror,
Bitter herbs.
bitter herbs. But when we have no temple, so we have to eat only the unleavened bread with the bitter herbs.
Mm-hmm.
We have in the Midrash that called the unleavened bread the bread of the faith. Bread of the faith. Bread of the faith. It's very interesting because the chametz, significant, mean the pride.
It's puffed up.
Right, yes. But simple pride is bad all the year.
Right.
You should not think you are more than you are.
Right.
You have to know your place. So what's the difference? Which kind of pride this chametz that we should not eat it in Passover and also in the temple all the year? But we allow to eat in the rest of the year in the country. It's very interesting. This Passover, this festival is the festival of the faith, to return to the base, the fundaments of the faith. In the fundament of the faith, we should not involve our creations. We should focus in the pure faith that God commanded us.
Wow.
All the year we can learn and add commentions and thoughts of ourselves. It's okay. But in once a year, we have to return, to go back to the fundament, to the basic of the faith, to think again what God commanded us and what we added from ourselves. Because the life sometimes ask us to give explanations, to think about the things. And sometimes our explanations are very good for the situations. But sometimes the situation is changed, and we stuck in our explanations, and we think, oh, the Torah is wrong. No, it's you wrong. Your explanation was good for 1 year or the other year, but now it's wrong. You have to come back to the base and think again of an explanation that will fit the new situation.
Wow.
So this is one meaning of the chametz.
Wow, it's really good, really powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Can you tell us a little bit about the actual Seder night? I know there's a lot of traditions around that. Eating the matzah, obviously, is one of the main ones. What else happens? What are the traditions and the customs that you guys do on the Passover Seder night?
Okay. There are many details about this night, but I try to focus on the principles. The first principle is that we have to tell the children the story of Exodus.
It's a very generational thing. You have
That's
to
right. That's
teach
right.
the children.
That's right. Every year, again and again, this is the fundaments of our faith. For this story telling, we have to sacrifice the Pesach, and now without the temple, so we have to eat the unleavened bread and the bitter herbs, so we can show the children. This is the unleavened bread that our forefathers ate when they exit Egypt, and then we can tell them the story with something very
Real,
Real.
tangible.
yes. And so this is the first. The first is the storytelling. The second is the unleavened bread and the bitter herbs, to tell about the difficult work in Egypt and the salvation that God exit us from there. And there are another customs that we add to this evening. First of the first of the customs is the 4 cups of wine that we drink along the evening,
Right.
to show our freedom and to celebrate the unique time that God salvate us. And of course, we with the generations we accept the book of the Seder that put midrashim and verses and stories to read, and it make a order in our evening, and of course songs and.
And does every family do something a little bit different, or is there like everybody uses basically the same? It's called a Haggadah.
Haggadah.
Right?
It's
Is that-
basically same
Okay.
in all the families, but any family with its customs exact to sit. There are people that sit on the carpet to
recline.
yes, and when they eat, they come to the table, and there are people. There are a lot of types.
Wow.
And we have to sit like kings.
And feast and have a good time. So I've heard some people say that the Seder can go like into the early hours of the morning. Is that because it takes that long to go through the Haggadah, or is it because you're having a good time and just adding songs and things, or about how long does it usually?
The Haggadah, it's not so long,
Okay.
but it can be just the opening. We can add to tell about the miracles of the Exodus, and so we can learn and tell and all the night. So everyone with his powers.
So the Haggadah is just supposed to be the framework, and then you
That's
add
right,
songs
that's
and
right.
stories
That's right.
and try to make it interesting for the children.
That's right.
What are some of the things that you do to help the children engage? Because I know just reading through a long book can be hard for the children. So what are some of the things you do to help teach the
They
children?
have to sing the questions.
Okay.
Ma nishtana.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes we ask them to prepare something to say, and even show to come with the Israelites exit of Egypt with their baggage, and so it's not written. It's open to offers.
Wow, that's really, really awesome. And it's also really amazing to be here in a country where everybody's celebrating. So I go to the grocery store here in Ariel, and there's, obviously lots of matzah there to buy, but there's also coloring books for the children and all kinds of different things here at the grocery store. So being from the States, it's so nice to be in a country where they're actually celebrating the festivals right out of the Bible, and they have all kinds of things there that you can help to make the the occasion more festive. So it's really amazing to be able to celebrate here in the land of Israel for a lot of reasons, but it's really nice to celebrate together with the entire nation. It's really powerful. Okay, well, I think that's pretty much all of my questions here. Do you have anything you would like to add about Passover?
Maybe we have to say that the most important value that we put on the table in Passover is the freedom. And the freedom is not only that we have no chains on our hands. It's also the freedom of the thoughts. Even if you have chains on your hands, you, after we exit Egypt, we are free to think, to believe. And maybe this is the most important value today that the world accepts from the Torah, the liberty. Not the liberty to be a sinner or to make any evil things, but the freedom to fulfill your soul, your values. The opposite, the freedom from the sins.
Wow. And I know that's one of the first things I saw studying through Passover is he says, "Let my people go, that they may serve me." Right. So it's they're being set free from Pharaoh and Egypt, but they're being set free in order to be God's slaves, basically, to go and serve God. But you can't get a more different master than Pharaoh and God, right? God brought them to Mount Sinai and gave them commandments that would actually be good for them and enable them to have rich, full, fulfilled lives, and then brings them into the promised land and leads them very well. But I think, sometimes, especially in today's culture, people think of freedom as so that I can do whatever I want. And that's very different than what you were saying of being fulfilled in your soul. Unfortunately, we have a hard time knowing what we should do, but God mercifully gave us His word so that we can follow it, and through that we can be fulfilled. And it's really interesting that that's exactly what God did. He took them out of Egypt and brought them right to Mount Sinai, where He gave them the commandments and the ability to know how to live in this world. So amazing. Well, thank you so much, Rabbi Yonadav. It's been a really great study. Chag Sameach, and wish you guys a wonderful Passover with your family. And thank all of you guys who are listening. Hope you enjoyed this special Passover show here today. And if you've got something out of this, share with your friends and family. And I've really enjoyed studying today and learning more about the Passover festival. So Chag Sameach from the exceedingly beautiful, good land of Israel.